One. Welcome everyone to a special edition of DSI Live. I'm super excited this morning to be able to bring two of our Dental Speaker Institute experts together to offer some words of wisdom during a very unique time in the world's history. So I would like to welcome Dr. Shakila Angadi and Victoria Peterson. Hello, everyone, today, and thank you for joining us. If you're joining us out there, please say hello, let us know who's here, and say hi to our guests. So let me introduce real quickly our guests. We have Dr. Shakila Angadi, who, as a dentist herself, understands the pressures and the isolation that dental professionals can face. Shakila helps dental professionals overcome these challenges through enhanced emotional intelligence, EQ, and self-awareness, as well as mastering the skill of altering habits. And so now, if you don't know Shakila, now you know why we've invited her here today. And I know that you've worked with a lot of our colleagues and have been really helpful. I'm a member of your Embrace Your Inner Warrior. I knew I wouldn't get it quite right. Group where we have a lot of great wisdom every day. Thanks for being here, Shakila.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And Victoria, for those who are at Jumpstart, remember Victoria had our closing keynote, and we haven't really announced, but our Director of Culture at Dental Speaker Institute. So here's our announcement. And Victoria is also co-founder and CEO of Productive Dentist Academy. And she has received the 2013 Silver Stevie Female Entrepreneur of the Year Award and has been listed 4 times in Inc. 5000 list of fastest growing privately held businesses. Victoria balances entrepreneurship with spirituality in her latest program, which is called Sacred Commerce, and that's based on her work to obtain a doctorate in spirituality. So she's like a double, triple threat kind of person, right? Like all these areas of expertise. Victoria seeks to help individuals understand how they contribute to the common good of their team and the world. And also, we can understand why Victoria is here with someone who has such depth in business, but also can come at our world from understanding that there's more going on here than just business. So thank you again for being here, Victoria.
You bet. Glad to be here.
Well, let's just jump right in. And it looks like we're live. Awesome. I love it when it works. Let's just jump right in. With COVID-19, and the world is a different place than it was even a week ago, even though we knew about it, but now we're here and now it's affecting us. Would one of you start by telling me, how are you seeing challenges or hurdles jump up in your business, or where are you seeing challenges in our industry?
I can share with you that at Productive Dentist Academy, our phones are ringing off the hook. So we have both marketing ad agency for our clients and the business consulting side. So with our on the marketing side, we really are about helping clients tell their story. And this is another piece of their story. So how are they communicating with their team about safety and precautions as an employer? How are they communicating to their patients? Shakila, I'm sure you're getting all kinds of crazy questions in your practice, but that's the main piece on the marketing side. And then what I'm also doing on our team is monitoring things like the House just passed new legislation on Friday. It's in the Senate right now with the Family Medical Leave Act. So we're really monitoring very closely that as well, because they're shifting it. Now it's employers under 500 have to comply with this, but there still are rules if you're under 50. So we're looking at what are the employer's obligations and how that's shifting. And then the whole topic of business disruption and emotionally, financially, physically, how do you walk through these things?
Agreed. And Shakila, maybe we could really start our conversation here on the personal side of, because everything that Victoria was just talking about, I don't know about you guys, but I mean, honestly, I think it's human that your blood pressure rises a little bit, right? It's just, it's natural. We kind of, this fear instinct. So guide us on how do we, I mean, how can we lead if we ourselves are not centered? If we're hair on fire, how can we put the fire out?
Right, absolutely. It's knowing that the fire starts within us, right? How do we put the pin in this environment that is very, very elevated? We live in a stress-based culture, so that doesn't help us. It, I think, frankly, hurts us a little bit. That's why we're seeing no toilet paper and all sorts of irrational behavior that comes from this type of environment that really gets squeezed, because that's what we're feeling. Our environment is normally like that, but now we have this outside force that is uncontrollable. We don't have answers. Doctors don't have answers. The world doesn't have answers. And I think all of that unknown really elevates our fear response, and that is in response to this. And I think there's a difference between venting and there's a difference between acknowledging. And in the emotional intelligence world, I know Victoria is very familiar with this too, is unless we become aware and acknowledge this time is difficult, these are our challenges, this is uncharted territory, and it's okay to not have the right statements. It's okay that you agreed with one thing a week ago, and today you stand differently on that particular decision. And so I think navigating our own self-perceived blocks is going to be the biggest challenge to overcome as a speaker, as a consultant. I mean, I've had a few clients that I've already worked with in the past that reached out to me and they said, I'm just so afraid. I'm so fearful of what am I going to do with my teams? It is all catalytic. But then I also have a particular friend who went, you know what? We don't know what we don't know. We're preparing the best that we can. And ultimately, it's okay for me to share that with my team. If I am freaking out, they are going to freak out. So me as a leader, this is what I plan on doing. And I think there is something really powerful with us being leaders to focus on dealing with our own emotions really well, so we can be there for our industry in a much more level-headed capacity than sounding the fire bell and everybody running out, you know? And it's not that this is not tough or this is not hard or challenging. It obviously is, but I think we're all feeling it. And I think a more productive way to use even Facebook and social media would be to acknowledge it instead of panicking, which I know we're seeing still quite a bit of within our field. So my biggest tip with everything, I mean, I've been really trying to give tools, but my number one where to start is going to be address it within yourself, talk about it, really delve into what does this feeling hold for me? What does it mean if I'm not in control of my schedule in 2 months? What does it mean if more things get canceled? What does it mean if I can't travel? I mean, these are questions we want to ask ourselves before we go to our clients and to our audiences. And it's okay to say, I just don't know. And that's kind of my response when someone's coming to me. I say, it's okay to be fearful. And there's a lot we don't know. We're all in this together. And that usually diffuses a situation really, really well.
But isn't that actually kind of a wonderful thing in a way that we're all in it together? Because, you know, we've all had, and, you know, I kind of strategically covered the cat. Why can't we all be like the cats? And the most thing we have to worry about, right, is just taking a nap. And now I'll come over here. But reality, and then actually petting a cat actually would release some endorphins. But isn't it a wonderful thing that we're all in this together in a way? I mean, I hate to say it that way, but there's a truth in that, because we all have had demons. We've had, you know, we've lost people, we've lost relationships, we've lost homes, we've lost business, we've gone through our own personal hells. And that's even somewhat more isolating. I think what I have found strength in is recognizing that we're all in this together. And from my standpoint, I feel like our world has been pretty fractured, especially in the last several years. There's been, it just felt so like we're islands of individuals or groups that have really strong outspoken beliefs. And I'm feeling like there's opportunity here. I'm sure to post this weekend, what if, and what if this serves us? What if there's something for us in what's happening now? And I think what you're saying, Shakila, if I can just jump off of that, is it really comes back to mindset, right? I think is what you're really saying is like our beliefs and how we choose. Though I would say that I know I was in shock for the first day or two for sure. And for me, it's still, I mean, I'll be real just transparent about that. I have a deep belief that everything is going to be fine. But I think it's very human to be like, whoa, you've got to get your head around it.
Yes. And I think that that's where I've seen a bit, I come from a different lens because my husband's in medicine. And so I see it from the dental industry. I'm seeing it obviously within our speaker community, but I'm seeing a very different response in the medical world because I find that our medical colleagues, especially ones like my husband who are working with very sick patients, they have to keep a little more even keel with their emotions when it comes to treating their patients, when it comes to dealing with very stressful situations, when a patient is flatlining, everything else. And so it's interesting in the sense that a lot of them, they know where this is going. I mean, we're already seeing through the medical community's friends of friends running out of PPE, running out of masks, being asked to ventilate 2 patients on 1 ventilator. I mean, it's a small community and we have that. So it's very real. But my husband's response is, well, I get that it's there. I get at some point I'm going to treat a patient that has this. These are just facts of today. We don't know about tomorrow, but that's a fact of today. What are we going to do about it? Does that mean sanitizing everything before he comes inside our house and running right up to the shower? Yeah. So don't look in our garage when my husband comes home because he will be in his skivvies running inside the house to shower. I mean, we are down to protocol with how to enter our house and what to do if we're quarantined and how do we protect our family. And I think that because we've talked about the fear, we can take action. And I think that's really important. And then that's a really important lesson we can learn from that community as well as dental speakers, because I think dentists are looking for someone to lead them because this is a really scary time. And I think we have an opportunity to help them go through something really tough that's going to help us all evolve. So I agree with you, Vanessa. I think it's a chance to grow and evolve. And I think we are going to see the other side of this. It just doesn't feel like that in this moment. And that's okay too.
So what are the resources that are available for those of us who are trying to get, calmer about it? What do you suggest? I mean, like, can I throw out one that was something? Meditate would be one option.
You got my number one.
Oh, did I?
Yes, you did. I have my list. I have been sharing it with anyone who wants to listen because I'm doing it myself. I'm doing it with my son who is homebound as well. And I think it's good for the whole family, my husband as well. So meditating is my top. Prayer, if you're spiritual, is my second, because I think it goes hand in hand with meditating and intentional meditating. I will go through my list if you will allow me. The next one is breathing exercises. Breathing controls our fight or flight response in our sympathetic system. So we have a lot of that going on right now. So we need to do the opposite, which is vagal breathing. So I taught that at Jumpstart actually, a 4-2-6 breathing pattern. Breathe in for 4, hold for 2, breathe slowly for 6. Doing that for a minute through the day makes a huge, huge difference from a respiratory rate, which also stimulates our vagal nerve, which helps us relax, which we need that. So that is definitely on my top. Yoga, if we can do it. Again, parasympathetic function definitely helps. Social media limits, other than watching this live, there's no, it already is an addictive property from a neurotransmitter and neurochemical option as far as checking social media. And I think with all of this being a fear-based reaction, we're more likely to stick to our phones and waste time, but we're feeding into that response and it's not helping. So being very intentional about that, connecting with friends. I already have virtual play dates for my son set up this week. I have a virtual coffee with one of my friends to keep my sanity in the right place. And we all need it, whether we're emotional intelligence coaches or not. We need to have the balance and checks with our need to bond, because that's a human need, not a dental need. And creativity. That's my last one. I think we in the dental industry as a whole, no matter what we are innately creative. And I think any kind of creativity, whether it's baking, beading, drawing, music, whatever it is that we can do to stimulate that flow, also keeps our mind in the right place to handle these creative problem solving skills that we need at this time more than ever. So that's my list very quickly, but it's a list that I'm practicing every day, and I encourage every one of us to keep our head center in that space.
Oh, I love that. And I'm going to ask you, Vicki, to chime in here in just a second too, but Shakila, I'm going to put you on the spot. And I'm going to ask you if you would come back into DSI and do a live on your own.
Sure.
When you can make it happen. And will you guide us through a meditation?
Oh, absolutely.
I would love that. If you could guide us through a breathing exercise and a meditation so that people could go back and listen when the time is right for them. I think that's really, really helpful.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Awesome. And Vicki, and thank you, Shakila. That's really, really helpful. Vicki, I mean, you have such experience both on the business side, but also from a spiritual and a centered and a calming and that side. Could you weigh into personally, before we go to the professional side? Oops, I think we lost Shakila. She'll be back. So could you weigh in on the personal before we?
Oh, you bet. And I second everything that Shakila was saying. My meditation practice is very strong right now. And it is, the purpose of meditation is twofold. One is to really connect with your own inner authority. And I think that is the one thing this virus is making everyone equal. Because if you were marginalized in the past, if you're part of the social strata that's marginalized, you already know that you don't depend on the government, right? There's a certain, when you get into middle class and upper middle class, you just assume that the world runs in a certain way. This virus and the stock market crash and all of these things are kind of like, whoa, like no one's really in charge. So self-governance is really at the forefront of all of this, and calming and being in touch with your own inner authority is the way to get through that. So I really do appreciate everything that Shakila said. I think for me also, I'm really a big proponent of essential oils. So I have On Guard, and I have my On Guard and Thieves and Peppermint and Lemon, and I spray the house. We've got it at the office. We've wiped down our keyboards. We're following the ADA guidelines of wiping down all door handles and keyboards in our conference spaces daily. We're juicing, hydrating, and using xylitol. So there's a nasal spray called Clear, XLEAR, that has xylitol. So keeping your nasal passages really moist and using the antivirals that way. Those are some of my personal healthy things. And we were actually on a cruise ship in Australia and New Zealand when this first started breaking out. And I feel very fortunate that our cruise ship didn't get docked. We weren't quarantined. We were allowed to come back to the US. And so I feel like I'm right there with it. And as both of you have already pointed out, I think the number one secret that I have found over the years in business coaching to success is that when leaders take things step by step, and whether it's this piece where we feel like we're in a crisis situation of the unknown, or it's even worse in boom times where you feel like there's no failure and you like charge in and you buy everything and you can't implement it. So successful people are fairly measured, and people like, oh my God, Vicki, you do everything and you're so innovative. But I'm pretty methodical and step by step. And for all of our speakers and coaches out there, there's a huge opportunity twofold. Is it okay if I go there?
Yeah, please.
Number one, stay really close to your clients. And if you're a conference speaker, your client is the conference. So how do you become that resource to Hinman and all the others who have just shut down? Can you offer podcasts? Can you offer white papers? What can you do to still help them provide CE to the people that were coming? How do you don't be part of the problem, be the easy part of their solution,
Yeah.
knowing that. Make sure you're cash ready. I know it's a little like the horse is already out, but this is really helping us get back to good common basics of be aware of your bank account, your credit scores, be cash ready, and be ready to retool. So if you do what Shakila and you were talking about, Vanessa, you're calm, you're in your inner authority, then you can open your ears and listen to the marketplace. Because what you're going to hear are the new topics that are emerging. When a school district shuts down for 6 weeks and the teacher's like, hey, mom, dad, you're on your own. Here's the lesson plan online. I feel for you. I'm like, thank you that my kids are out of college and because I would have to be teaching them. It would be ridiculous. But the shift to online, I don't think it's going to come back. I think there is going to be a shift in the live education market. So if that's where your income comes from, it is a great time to start thinking about how to retool your business and getting really proactive. And there's so many resources that you offer for that, Vanessa. And I know you're close with MPI and meeting planners and what's going on there. But if I were putting on my speaker's hat, those are some of the things I would be thinking about. My consulting hat is how can I be helpful today and how do I start to retool for tomorrow? Because we're not going to wake up in the same world that we were in January.
Well, you know, the recession of 2008 was not that long ago. For those of us who were in business then, you know, I think it reminded me of what were some of the techniques I used then.
Right.
But I also love this morning when I did hop on Facebook before we got on here, I noticed a couple of things. I noticed the ACT Dental is like at the forefront. They already have a COVID conference out there, virtual 2-day live conference. I'm like, yes, because this is where we need to be going. I see many of our colleagues talking about how they're collaborating. I mean, in 2008, 2009, I did a lot of that, just like making phone calls, staying in front of people. I had some of the best ideas that would come just from a conversation. It's that brainstorming, that masterminding that really did help me be able to, you know, it's kind of a navigating, right? As you find that new place, as everything will settle down. I mean, it's just a matter of time. This is not the end of the world. This is literally not the end of the world. And I don't mean to in any way to minimize the effect of it, but the reality is there's a really good chance that the majority of us will come through this. And in what shape with our businesses, you know, that's really up to us. The choices we make now, the thoughts we have now, the actions we take now, you know, we don't, you know, you look around at people who hoard. It's like, you know, we don't want to be that. Now's the time for kindness or generosity. I've started noticing there's an app called Nextdoor. I don't know if you guys are you on that? It's for communities, you know, to be able to sell things and, you know, if somebody's lost dog or whatever. But I've noticed that people have started popping up with, I have extra toilet paper. Are there any elderly? Makes me a little emotional. But that's what to do, right?
Yeah.
Someone whose mom is 3-hour drive away. I'm hoping that we can all lean into love and kindness and generosity and just take care of each other, because this is in so many ways economically, we know we're going to have an impact, but where we're at with technology and just who we are as a society it's not the same as the Depression, right? Like we have just even the ability to do this today, to be able to see our children if they're in other states that we may not be able to travel to still be able to, you know, we have so many, if we can look for the things that are going right. I think that just really helps us open up our mind to possibilities in our business. So share with us, are there other ideas that you've seen, Victoria, on how can we as business owners, do you have some other thoughts on, so we talk about collaborating, we talk about looking for the opportunity that exists out there. Was there something I should have asked you that I haven't asked you on that topic?
Well, I think you like if you've never gone through this before, it does feel like very scary. But for some of us, it's not our first rodeo. I started out not wearing gloves, uh, and thank God for protective equipment now. Um, I love someone's channeling in here. I think our language is very, it's a great time to pay attention to our language. I don't like the word social distancing. I think that it's a very dangerous thing if we allow that to become embedded in our vernacular. Now we're physically distancing, but socially it is a time to pull together. So I actually worked without gloves. I had AIDS patient who's died and had to be checked for 2 years thereafter, and no understanding how's that going to impact my life with my husband and my future children and things like that. So we have gone through these scares before. We've gone through 12, I've gone through 12 recessions in dentistry. 2008 was the largest, and that really didn't start impacting dentistry until 2010 and 11 was when the big impact. So here's, this is for clients, and I know all the coaches here know this stuff anyway, but you have to look for the ripple effect. So don't be surprised. This will impact your business in September. This will impact your business in October and November. So if you are a coach, be looking at what is the business planning and operational planning. How do we reschedule, retemplate? What do we offer our employees in terms of duties, alternate duties if we're not seeing patients? I saw the California Dental Association has asked dental offices to close down except for non-emergency care only. So I think it's a day by day. Really be aware of the cost to your business and reach out through the faculty of DSI. If you're a speaker, perhaps we'll continue to host some forums on how can I retool my speaking and consulting business. If you're a dentist, keep a tally of economically what is it costing. It's a great time to really, we're actually putting out and publishing some research on business readiness and agility, on business resilience to communication protocol for team and patients. Am I ready if there were a fire or flood or physical event in my office, cyber attacks, electronic data transmission, economic shrinkage for 6 months? There's a lot of business resiliency. And when I surveyed, we've had over 100 surveys so far. We're not tracking on a scale of 1 to 5. We're not tracking above a 3 on any of these issues. So there is a lot to happen into best practices for operating your business and being ready for the unexpected. So it's a great time. This is going to surface the unexpected. And it's a great time to stay calm, meditate with Shakila.
Meditate. The other thing I will say, if you don't mind me just adding to that, is these thoughts, these negative, fearful-based thoughts of where's my business going to be, no matter what you do, speaker, consultant, dentist, they are going to come in, right? We cannot just say, don't think negative thoughts. Emo diversity is real. We have emotions for a reason. So if we were to identify, okay, this is a positive thought, yay, seeing and ingesting the right types of things, practicing my meditation and coming on my live when I hop on to share that with this group. But the alternate to that until that point is if there's something negative that comes up, the best question to ask is this helpful to me right now? Is this helpful? That one question will recenter what we're thinking to then make the plans that Victoria is so eloquently sharing, because ultimately those plans are there, but we have to be able to stop that thought in its track before that thought causes us to take the irrational behavior of toilet paper buying within our practices, because that's how dentists are thinking. That's how our speaker community is thinking. What are we going to do? Is this the end of me? Absolutely not. The toilet paper hasn't run out. Sorry.
So thank you everyone for listening in. I want to just take a break and acknowledge we have several people listening in fact, more than several. And Reagan, thank you for your comments. So Reagan says, it's funny that we're calling this social distancing when what our communities are experiencing is actually a big connection, looking to help one another. Our community has a group of parents helping each other with home curriculum. So just one more great example. Thank you for sharing that, Reagan. And thank you all for your comments. I've been monitoring here to see if we have any questions for our guest here. Is there anything that I haven't asked that I should have asked? Is there any closing thoughts before we go? And while you're thinking on that, let me share that Victoria touched on this. We, in fact, will be offering more of these Facebook Live sessions. We're going to be doing one Thursday evening with Mark LeBlanc and Catherine Eitel-Belt, who are going to help us with some other ideas, on collaborating and on how we can infuse growth in our business during this time, as well as just keeping that mindset positive. We will also be reaching out to our other faculty members and arranging some other times, but not just our DSI faculty. I think it's a great time too to hear from some of our experts in infection control, and finances. And now's the time to, for instance, we're probably going to do a little home remodel. Part of our home, we've purchased already the materials. We'll have some extra time. Now some time to regroup in different ways in your home. So we're going to do some flooring and painting and the things
because I'm a crisis remodeler. Like during 9/11, I think I repainted my entire house. You could not talk to me. I was inconsolable. My clients were New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut, and I was on the flights to go to New York that day. And I just came home, and I swear I think I painted for 3 weeks straight. It was a great way to get that anxious energy out and occupy my mind, and my house looked gorgeous.
It's like gardening, right? Now's the time. We can be outside. We can be out planting flowers. Well, it depends on where you're at. Here, I'm actually sweating right now because I'm in Phoenix and it's hot here already. But so as it warms up, we can get outside. We can walk. We can. There's still so many things we can do. I just feel so much better when I acknowledge what's going right. And I want to encourage our listeners to look for what's good, and create good. And now there's never been a better time. I'm going to borrow this from Mark LeBlanc because he says there's never been a better time to be a speaker and consultant in dentistry. And I think that's absolutely true. And the one thing that keeps coming back to me is, come on, guys, we have been working for this. We have been training on how to lead our industry. Now it's time for us to shine. Now it's time to get out there and really help and give. And I want to encourage our listeners to, it's so easy to do a Facebook Live and offer your information to your community. It's super easy to record it on Zoom if that's more comfortable. Super low cost, very easy to record and put that on Facebook. Put that then on your blog. Put it for instance, this will go on a blog. This will go in an email campaign out to the industry. Now's the time to nurture and give it away. This is how, from the business strategy side, this really is how you build advocates. Well, we're going to remember the neighbor that ran us over to get that last roll of toilet paper, right? And we're going to remember the neighbor that gave us their water when we didn't have it. Maybe I'm oversimplifying it, but I think that there's an element here.
I feel so blessed. I came in from Hawaii to Anacortes, and first thing I checked in the house was I'm good. I'm well stocked.
Oh yeah.
Now if I can get my fruits and vegetables to juice, I'll be happy.
And I mostly eat fresh vegetables. That's a big part of my diet. So I'm not really feeling the pinch. I'm I don't know why it's fully stocked right now. We'll see.
No one had a rest on Brussels sprouts, I can tell you that.
I love Brussels sprouts. Yeah. There were a lot of those at Costco. Yeah. Well, were there any closing thoughts that you would like to share? Any suggestions or, and I'd love to, for each of you, I was going to give your contact information. Why don't I just ask each of you, both of you, for a closing thought, and if you could share with us also, how do we reach out to you personally if we'd like to, connect with you and maybe, take the conversation further?
Absolutely. I'll go. Yes. I think in closing, I think the biggest thing we can do for ourselves and for our audiences is stay in the today, stay in the now, stay in the present, because that is the only thing that truly is controllable. The anxiety, a fear of what hasn't happened is not helpful to us. And a lot of those fears of what's going to happen tomorrow or in 6 months or a year comes from there. So the more we can be present today, the better we will be for a tomorrow. And I think if this isn't the biggest test on how mindful can we be, I don't know what is. And so really, as a speaker myself and a coach, that's what I'm doing. It's a day-to-day thing. Tomorrow's not going to look anything like what I planned it in the morning, and that's okay with me. And I think that I'm more helpful to my clients coming from that frame of mind than I am from any others. So as far as reaching out to me, Shakila at theinspireddentist.com. It's the same handle at theinspireddentist.com on Facebook as well, or you can reach out to me personally on my personal profile as well. I'd be happy to help anybody, even if they just need someone to talk to about their fears or work through mindfulness exercises. And I will definitely do that live because it will help, but feel free to reach out because this is the time where we need to support each other, and I'm happy to help in any way I can.
Lovely. Thank you, Shakila.
Sure.
Victoria,
I love it. So yeah, I mean, if you're a dentist and you're watching this, obviously safety is first for your employees and for your patients. We do work in a lot of aerosols, and so keep a close watch on the ADA guidelines. What the CDC is coming out. I'm seeing so much happening that's right and well. And for speakers and anyone here, it is my great mission, excuse me, to go beyond what our company does in consulting work. That's why I'm on faculty with DSI. I'm on the advisory board with Dental Entrepreneur Women. I'm also a part of the Dental Mental Network. I do understand life can get you sometimes. So again, if there is anyone that needs a listening ear or support, reach out, Victoria at productivedentist.com. I'm available anytime. My cell is 360-770-3077. So I'm here as a colleague and peer-to-peer to be of support of anyone that are going through these things. I've got so many friends in this industry, and which is a blessing. We've all been in it. This is my 40th year. It's incredible.
Impossible.
So, yeah, and I literally was 17 when I came into it. So anything that we can do to support and create collaboration, I think it's the time to. I've got this new phrase. It's time to rewrite history into her story. And I think there's a lot of feminine grace and a lot of new language that's coming into business. We're not seeing people as cogs in a wheel and as human capital anymore, which was the old business speak. We're seeing each other as human beings. And I think that's a blessing at this time.
I love that.
Wonderful. Well, thank you both for being here. And I would love to just leave with the idea of, we've been referring to our group as Jumpstart Nation. And I just want us to be mindful of being Jumpstart Nation strong. Let's come together as colleagues. Let's come together as dental professionals who really want to, help save the world. We want to get out there and do what we can to. As Mary Shipp put it here, Mary, I'm going to quote you. She says, "Just be the person you want others to be toward you." And it really does boil down to what we learned in kindergarten. So with that in mind, let's get out there and let's do what we can to help right now. Everyone be well, be strong, and we will talk to you again here in a couple days. In the meantime, reach out if there's anything we can do to help you. Thanks again for being here. Everyone who's listened in, and our guests, Dr. Shakila Angadi and Victoria Peterson, we really appreciate you both being here. Until next time, be well.
Thank you.